Go. This is for the ignition switch adjustment on the JIS steering columns. The complaint is that the vehicle will not shift out of park. In some cases, when the ignition tumbler is in the on position, it will not shift out of park, where if it's moved slightly back, it will shift. So this is going to be for adjusting the ignition switch to ensure that that's not a problem. I'm going to go ahead and put this in the off lock position. First thing to do is to go ahead and remove the dimmer switch. You do not need to remove the dimmer switch rod. Try and maintain its position. The next step is to go ahead and remove the beveled screw from the ignition switch. And remove the ignition switch itself. In some cases, there will be a detent that is created by the bevel screw. If you take a small hammer and the corner of a bench or a vise, you can pound that back flat and erase that memory that's created. From this point, it's good to go ahead and operate the ignition switch to double check it. Make sure that spring action works. But when you go back, you want to get to the very back detent and then come back one notch or one detent. At this point, on some ignition switches, when you install it, you will want to turn it 90 degrees and then install it to make sure it fully seats. Take the ignition tumbler. This one is just a regular ignition tumbler where the tab has been removed so that we can use it multiple times. And it should be in the off lock position. I then take the upper screw or bolt, and that is going to be the fine thread, and I start that down. Then I feel for just kind of the right position. Once I'm to that point, I will snug the screw or bolt down. I take the bevel-headed screw and I will place that in place. And bring that just down till it touches. This one should be snug to tight, this one just touching. At this point, I will operate the ignition switch to make sure that it works in all the different detents. Bring it back to the off or the on position, and then I will reach down and make sure that the shifter will swing through its full range of motion. At this point, if you choose, you could go back to the off lock position. I will then go ahead and take the Phillips head screwdriver and fully seat the beveled screw. Once again, I'm going to check the functions. Now I will take the top screw or bolt back out. I will set the dimmer switch in place and replace that top screw or bolt. Bringing that down snug. And then the coarse threaded bolt I will put into the bracket on the bottom end of the dimmer switch. Bring that down just snug. Now I'm going to further tighten the top. And I'm going to check the dimmer switch and turn signal operations. This is just the shaft. out of one of the wiper switch that's turned backwards. So it was pulled out, I've turned it backwards and just put a piece of hose on it. So at this point, I can check my dimmer switch operation. I can check my turn signal, put this in the on position, left turn, cancel, right turn, cancel, dimmer operation once again. At this point, I also check to make sure that the shifter goes full swing. I can go ahead and put it in the off lock. It's locked, and then the shaft will lock, and I can check the accessories position. You could go through the full range of checks once again.